Okay, so this is a shaded region question. So this is similar to the last one on the homework last night where you had to do subtraction. It says the pentagon is a regular figure. So if you look, the only thing you're given is the 6.4. So remember, we're going to have to find the apothem, which we don't have, and the perimeter, which we also don't have. So essentially, if I'm looking at this, I want to find the area of the shaded region. Well, this is one triangle. It's a pentagon, so there's going to be 5 triangles in there. So I'm going to find that area, and then I'm going to multiply it by 4/5 because I want 4 of the triangles. That's what your shaded region is. So I need my apothem, which is going to drop down, make your right angle. And then I need my perimeter. So I'm going to need this, and I'm going to need that. Let's call that A and X. A for apothem, and then just X, because that's the next best one to use variable-wise. So it's like yesterday, where you don't have enough information to do Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to have to find this angle right here. So we are going to do 5 minus 2 times 180. And that is going to get me 540. Okay, so that's all of them added together. We want to take that, we want to divide it by 5, and when you divide that by 5, you should get 108 degrees. So remember, that means one of them is 108 degrees, but we don't want the whole thing. We want half of that. Half of 108 is 54. So now, in order to find A and X, for A, I'm going to do sine of 54 degrees equals A over 6.4. Okay, so when you multiply that out, you end up with 5.18 when you round, so A is approximately 5.18. And then to find X, I'm going to do cosine of 54 degrees is approximately X over 6.4. And when you multiply that out, cosine of 54 times 6.4 is about 3.76. So if this is 3.76 right here, then we know we can double it to get the whole side. So the whole side is going to be 7.52. So you are going to do, let's see, area equals 1/2 apothem, which we found to be 5.18, times perimeter, which is going to be that 7.52 side, times 5. So if we do that all, 0.5 times 5.18 times 7.52 times 5, you end up with 97.384. But remember, that is not your final answer. That is the area for the whole thing. So this is kind of what I was saying in the beginning. Remember, this is split. If you were to divide this up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles, and they're all congruent because it's a regular figure. So then I want 4 of them. So for my actual answer, I'm going to take 4/5 of 97.384. So the area of the shaded region is about 77.91 centimeters squared. Okay. All right, so that was yesterday. Today we're going to talk about circles. This should be kind of a review for you for the most part, if you haven't seen it in a while. We'll talk about a few new-ish things that have to do with area and circumference of a circle, but for the most part, this should seem pretty familiar to you. Then tomorrow, remember, we're going to put what we just did in the warm-up with regular polygons and circles together. So if you look, the area of a circle, that is the orange part, okay? That's the inside, right? Areas when you're trying to paint a wall, something like that. You're trying to do the fill in, and you can think of it. So area is pi r squared. Circumference, that's the green, okay? The circumference is another way of saying perimeter of a circle. So that is 2 pi r. Okay, so those are not new formulas to you. we're just going to quick review them. So if I have the radius of a figure is 4, to find the area, I will do pi times 4 squared. So that is about 50.27 feet squared. And the circumference would be 2 pi times 4, or 8 pi, which gets you about 25.13 feet. Remember, this is a distance because it's like perimeter, so you don't square that. Sorry. All right. For the next one, if for figure 2, if it's 2.5, again, area is pi times 2.5 squared. So then you get about 19.63 inches squared. And circumference is 2 pi times r, which is 2.5. And then you get about 15.71 inches. Okay. So you should probably be able to pretty clearly go through these. If you want to pause the video right now, work through and make sure you're good on calculating them on your own, I'll throw the answers up. The answer for this one should be about 201.06 meters squared, and the circumference should be about 50.27 meters. Over here you have about 19.51 centimeters squared and 39.02 centimeters. All right, I think we're good there. These are the exact same type of question in the bottom. It's just written instead of explicitly given to you. So if you say, okay, number 1, find the radius of a circle with an area of 17 square meters. Okay, so this is kind of like one of the questions on your homework where we just flip what you're given. We're looking for the radius and give you the area. So remember, area is pi r squared. So area is 17 here, and that equals pi r squared. We're going to divide by pi. So you get 17 over pi equals r squared. And then you're going to square root both sides. You guys, please be careful how you put this in. So this is what you should be putting into your calculator. Sorry. All right. You should have the square root of 17 divided by pi. And notice it's all in parentheses. And you get about 2.33. So don't round this. It's actually, you're wasting your time. It's really easy to not round it. Don't put this in your calculator, write down an answer, and then square it or square root it. It's just don't be exact. So your answer is 2.33 for your radius. Now normally when we square root both sides, we take a plus or minus, but again, this is a distance, so you won't have a negative radius. It doesn't make contextual sense. Now for number 2, it's the same idea, but now we have circumference. So circumference is 2 pi r, and I'll show you where everybody makes the same mistake. Circumference is 28 in this case, and we have 2 pi r. So it's 2 times pi times r, so I'm going to divide by 2 pi. You guys, if you put this in your calculator with no parentheses, you're going to get the wrong answer. So what you need to do is tell your calculator you're doing 28 divided by parentheses 2 pi, like that. Because otherwise, if you do this without parentheses, you're getting a totally different answer because it's following order of operations and it's doing 28 divided by 2, which is 14, and then multiplying that by pi, rather than doing 28 divided by the quantity of 2 pi. So the correct answer is 4.46 there. So double and triple check that in order to make sure that you don't make that mistake. Okay. All right, now on the back, we're going to start putting area and circumference together. It says find the area of a circle that has a circumference of 100 meters. Well, if you look at the formulas, you guys, we know in order to find area, we need the radius. In order to find circumference, we need the radius. So this says find the area of a circle that has a circumference. I'm going to use the circumference to find the radius to then use it in the area. So circumference equals 2 pi r. which we know is 100 equals 2 pi r. We're going to divide both sides by 2 pi. Okay, so in this case, your radius is approximately 15.92 meters. Here it's okay if you want to round that here. And then area equals pi r squared. So now area is going to be pi times 15.92 squared. And when you throw that in your calculator, you should get area to be about 796.23 meters squared. Okay. Number 4 is the exact same thing, but the opposite way. What is the circumference of a circle that has an area of 1,000 meters squared? So we know area is pi r squared. So area is 1,000 equals pi r squared. We divide by pi, and we get 1,000 divided by pi equals r squared, and then you can square root both sides. So when you do that, you take the square root of 1,000 divided by pi, and you would get your r value to be about 17.84 meters. So I want circumference, so now I can take that 2 pi times r, which is 17.84. And your circumference is about 112.09 meters. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Whoa, we are like literally flying. Hold on. Oh, guys. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. Let's go back to where we were. This is tomorrow. There we go. Hey, all right. Sorry. Okay, number 5. Now, this is the newish part. This is a semicircle. So this is a semicircle, has a radius of 9.79. What is its area? Okay, you guys, a semicircle means a half circle. So you're looking at it like this. Okay, so obviously it's half a circle. So the radius is 9.79. Okay. So basically, in this case, when you're doing area, this isn't too bad. All you need to now do is say, okay, well, I need 1/2 of a circle, so 1/2 of pi r squared. So area equals 1/2 times pi times 9.79 squared. And the area of that is approximately 150.55, and that's meters squared. Okay. So it's literally just taking half of the area. However, now you're going to be given different types of things, and you really want to pay attention to the shape. And you guys, honestly, you don't need to memorize anything. You just need to understand what this means. So we have a semicircle. This is obviously the center of the circle if you were to make the whole circle. This says that the diameter is 25 feet. So this whole thing is 25 feet. And it's saying, what is its perimeter? You guys, that means this plus this. So now, if I were to fence that, I need 1/2 of the circumference of the circle. That's the like moonish part on the top. But then you also need the diameter to close it off. So in this case, our perimeter is going to be 1/2 of 2 pi r plus the diameter at the bottom. Okay, so your perimeter is 1/2 times 2 pi. In this case, your r is 12.5 because it's half your diameter, plus the 25 from the bottom. So when you multiply that out, you end up with 64.27 feet. Okay. So it's not, you don't need to memorize that formula. Honestly, you just need to understand that if you had the whole circle, let's do this in gray. If you had the whole circle here, then you could easily find the circumference. But we're getting rid of the whole circle. We just want that top half that's in yellow, but then you can't just, if you forgot the diameter, you'd be leaving this bottom open. And you would, if you're thinking about like enclosing a fenced-in area, then you wouldn't be closing it in. You would be leaving that open. Okay. All right. For number 7, it's similar. It says the perimeter of a semicircle is 217. What is the area? Okay, so now we have to work backwards. Okay, so exactly what we just talked about. Your perimeter is made up of 1/2 the circumference, which is 2 pi r, plus the diameter. Okay. Well, if I want the area, that means I need to know what the radius is. Okay, so we're going to do a couple things here. First, 1/2 times 2 is 1. So I can rewrite that first part as just pi r. But then, instead of diameter, because then I'm going to have too many variables, your diameter, remember, if this is your center, is a radius and a radius. So instead of diameter, I'm going to write 2r. So now I can say my perimeter is 217. You guys, I'm trying to solve for r, but it's in both places. So I'm going to factor an r out, and I'm left with pi plus 2. Okay, if I were to multiply that back in, r times pi is pi times r times 2 is 2r. But by doing that, now I can divide both sides by pi plus 2, and now my r is by itself. Okay, you can't get the r by itself. Like, if you're looking up here at this second step and thinking, oh, I'm going to subtract something over or whatever, that's fine, but you're just going to bring it back over. You have to get the r's on the same side so that you can factor it out to essentially isolate it and then divide. Now, when you put this in your calculator, again, be really careful how you do that. So I'm going to do 217 divided by parentheses, pi plus 2. And so your radius is 42.20. Now I can use that and say my area is pi times 42.20 squared. And your area is 5,000, approximately, 5,594.67 kilometers squared. Okay. All right. For number 8, it says a factory is printing a large square design on a circular tablecloth. The tablecloth has a total area of 30 square feet, and the square design is as large as possible. What is the maximum side length of the square design? How much space is on the tablecloth that is not being covered by the square? All right, so what they're talking about is they have a circular tablecloth, and then in the middle of it, they have a square design that they want it to be as big as possible. And it says the tablecloth has a total area of 30 square feet. Well, remember, the tablecloth is the circle, so area equals pi r squared. And 30 is the maximum area. So if I go through and I solve for my r, I'll show you why I'm doing that in a second. You have 30 over pi equals r squared. We're going to square root both sides. So the square root of 30 divided by pi is about 3.09. Okay, so why did I do that? Well, if you think about it, the question is saying, what is the maximum side length of the square design? So I just found my radius. You guys, you can draw a radius anywhere in the circle. I'm going to choose to draw it right here because now I know that this is 3.09. Right? Well, if this is 3.09, going back to our special right triangles, drop down your altitude. This is a square. So if you think about it, these are all 90-degree angles, right? We talked about this yesterday, which means this is 45 degrees. If this is 45 degrees, this is 45 degrees, that's your hypotenuse. So we are going to do, and again, you can use trig, but I'd rather not. That means x root 2 equals 3.09 because it's the hypotenuse, so we're going to divide by root 2. And you're going to find that x side to be 3.09 divided by the square root of 2, which is 2.18. So that's this side right here is 2.18. So then we can double it, and the entire side from here to here is 2.18 times 2, which is going to be 4.36. Well, it's a square, so the area of a square is 4.36 squared. So the area is approximately 19.01 feet squared. Okay. Now, the other question, oh, I'm sorry, that totally wasn't even the question that was being asked. The maximum side length, I just did way too much, is 4.36. 4.36 feet. Cool. Now, sorry, I'm going to use this for the next part. How much space is on the tablecloth that is not being covered by the square? Okay, well, I found the area of the square. This is the red square, that 19.01 feet. So I'm going to take the 30, that is the area of the circle. I want to know how much is not being covered by the square, which means this right here, this part, this part, this part, and this part. So you're going to take that and subtract the 19.01. So if you take 30 minus 19.01, the area that is kind of highlighted in yellow is about 10.99 feet squared. Okay. All right, so basically the biggest thing here with all of them is finding R. R is going to drive area and circumference. And you guys, this is going to be where you want to put your time and energy, is these semicircles, half circles, and understanding if it's area, you're just chopping it in half. But when you're talking about perimeter of those, then you need to break it down into radius and radius, or one diameter and then half of the circumference. Okay.